It's almost as if there's something magical about JRPGs that makes fans of the genre unable to stop playing these titles for hundreds upon hundreds of hours. Whether it's the deep lore, the lovable cast of characters, the charming atmosphere, or the classic turn-based combat or action combat depending on the game, JRPGs are bound to enchant players with at least one of their aspects. Over the years, the JRPG genre has become one of the biggest gaming genres out there. Fans of this genre can experience many of these beloved games with even greater immersion on Sony's newest console, the PlayStation 5. Welcome to Game Rant, everyone. My name is Jeffrey. In today's video, I'll be showcasing 10 of the best JRPGs to check out right now on PlayStation 5. Number 10, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. The remake of a classic PSP gem, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is one of the few good spin-off titles Square Enix has developed. With the craze around Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at an all-time high, it's easy to see why so many players would love to revisit some of the classic titles in this anthology. Zack's story in Crisis Core is heartbreaking, with the combat being overhauled to be more action-focused than ever before. While some of the PSP's dated philosophies still certainly plague this title, fans of Final Fantasy VII and its riveting world will love what Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion brings to the table. Number 9, Scarlet Nexus. Bandai Namco's Scarlet Nexus is a third-person action RPG that was released in June of 2021, featuring exhilarating combat and a solid narrative. The game is divided into two intertwining stories starring Yuito Sumeragi and Kasane Randall, who are members of an organization fighting against being known as others in order to protect humanity. Set in a futuristic, alternate world, Scarlet Nexus gives players the ability to play around with psychokinetic powers, allowing them to move objects with their minds. The combat also features various weapons, allowing for more variation in the game's playstyle. Scarlet Nexus was praised for its gameplay, but some found the two branching stories often tiresome. Number 8, Nier Replicant. The original Nier was a pretty unique game with a great premise that was unfortunately forgotten to the sands of time because of its clunky gameplay and muted art style. Thankfully, the launch of Nier Automata made people finally realize the hidden potential of this game, with players loving the gameplay switches and the complex story that compelled players to check out each ending in the title. As a result, interest in the Nier series was higher than ever before, and Yoko Taro capitalized on this with a remaster of the original Nier game with both visual and gameplay improvements. Fans could now finally experience the first game in the series properly, with this title being an absolute blast to play through in every single way. Number 7, Octopath Traveler 2. The first Octopath Traveler was a great title that channeled the old-school energy of most popular JRPGs, with the older Final Fantasy titles being a great example of the same. However, there's no denying that the game had its fair share of issues that really bogged down the whole experience somewhat for many players. The sequel rectified most of these issues, allowing players to enjoy the game without any caveats. Party members actually interacted with each other properly during their individual storylines instead of these conversations taking place in a completely different plane of existence. This, coupled with the many refinements and improvements to a solid combat system, make Octopath Traveler 2 a perfect sequel and one of the best PS5 JRPGs. Number 6, Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon was first released in Japan in January 2020, before hitting stores worldwide in November of the same year. The game takes the long-running and critically acclaimed Yakuza series in a new direction, with a fresh cast of charismatic characters and an engrossing new storyline. However, the characters and story aren't actually all that has changed, as the game also ditches the Yakuza series' tried and tested beat-em-up mechanics in favor of actually turn-based combat. This bold move certainly could have backfired, though Ryuga Gotoku Studio did an excellent job with the new battle system. Despite all of the changes to the series, the Yakuza series retains many of the factors that fans love about the IP, including the hilarious, over-the-top, and often, well, very often, bizarre sub-stories. Number 5, Tales of Arise. Players yearning for a medieval fantasy adventure can dive into Bandai Namco's Tales of Arise on the PlayStation 5. Tales of Arise is an action RPG and is the 17th mainline game in the Tales franchise, which is pretty darn crazy. The game serves as a perfect entry point for newcomers and retains enough depth to feel familiar to returning fans of the series. With gorgeous anime-inspired visuals, deep lore, and a great combat system, Tales of Arise really takes the series to the next level. The game follows protagonists Alphen and Xion from an enslaved planet called Dana, as they, along with other strong-willed characters, fight to overthrow the lords of the nearby reigning planet of Rena. Number 4. Final Fantasy XVI. Final Fantasy XVI takes the franchise in a whole new direction, with an unerring focus on real-time action and a single protagonist. While some people may certainly lament these changes, there's no denying that Final Fantasy XVI's bold initiative to be different is certainly quite amazing in its own right. Clive is a pretty great protagonist, playing a central role in a story rife with political intrigue, heartwarming characters, and a healthy dose of Final Fantasy madness and shenanigans. The game has some rough edges, to be sure, that stem from its barren world design and poor side quests, but those can often be overlooked in the grand scheme of things. Number 3. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Square Enix's Final Fantasy VII Remake exceeded all expectations back when it was released in 2020, setting a new standard for remakes as a whole. The game takes the first few hours of the original JRPG and expands it into a full-length outing. Players take control of a soldier named Cloud Strife, who works with his friends to take down the corrupt Shinra Corporation. Final Fantasy VII Remake is not just a simple reimagining, instead it also serves as a sequel to the original game in some unique ways. The Intergrade bundle of Final Fantasy VII Remake includes the base game plus a new episode starring a character named Yuffie. Number 2. Chained Echoes. Chained Echoes is a modern JRPG that is heavily inspired by Chrono Trigger, and this shows in the seamless combat and engaging storytelling. The game relies more on equipment instead of a simple leveling system to allow for a more measured sense of progression that feels more balanced and engaging overall. Players are also discouraged from mindlessly attacking, since the overdrive gauge in battle can actually work against them if they mindlessly attack without realizing how this negatively affects the said gauge. It's a wonderful and charming JRPG that will keep fans hooked for quite some time, even if there are some bugs that can sour the experience for some. Number 1. Persona 5 Royal. Back in 2016, Persona 5 revitalized Atlus's Persona franchise with its style, and in 2019, Atlus released a definitive version of the game in the form of Persona 5 Royal, which made a few quality of life changes to the original formula and added a whole new semester of content. The PS5 version of the game, released in October 2022, features a constant 60 FPS frame rate and includes all the DLC. Persona 5 Royal follows a group of high schoolers who have the ability to traverse into another realm and change people's desires, with the use of their otherworldly selves known as, you guessed it, personas. Part life simulator, part dungeon crawler RPG, Persona 5 Royal is easily one of the best JRPGs to come out in years. And there we have it, everyone, the 10 best JRPGs to check out right now on PS5. Thank you so much for checking out this video from Game Rant. Have a truly wonderful and happy day. See you in the next video. Bye bye.